Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we've got an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below, and I will pick one of the highly rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Hacker WCK. He says, "Silent Death, the M240 Bravo, suppressor, 2x magnification, angled grip, deagle with suppressor, and the claymore. With this, you can get into a nice spot, cover your back with the claymore, and wreak havoc on everyone. Works like a charm for me." Now, I gotta say, playing with suppressed machine guns is one of my favorite things to do in terms of just dominating people, because staying off that mini-map and not needing to reload in crucial situations is a really fun and frankly easy way to play the game. The suppressed 240 Bravo is probably one of the longest weapons in the game. It just looks ridiculous when you're in the actual loadout screen, and you have to keep this in mind when you're approaching corners, especially when aiming down sights and trying to be sneaky around corners. Chances are the barrel is sticking around the corner and your enemies know where you are. So take this into account when you're creeping around with the suppressed weapon, that when you get near a corner, you might want to back off a few feet, and when you get close to it, you're going to want to come around that corner quicker than you normally would, because otherwise somebody's going to see that barrel, they're going to know exactly where you are, and they're just going to wait and line up their shots to shoot you in the head the second you come around the corner. So for corner gameplay, close quarter stuff, just keep that in mind. Now, the 1x optic was not specified on this weapon, and you do need to at least use some sort of optic to take advantage of the 2x flip up sight, which I do enjoy, although I have to say a suppressed weapon doesn't really make much use of that 2x flip up sight, just because the slower bullet velocity on the heavier machine guns and just any suppressed weapon in general is something that you're not going to really be using for doing precise long range shooting. You can shoot targets at further ranges, but it's very hard to do, and I found that I didn't take advantage of it very much at all. Here I'm playing offensively in a rush game, and I've taken the top part of this hill to try and hold off all the enemy's reinforcements while my team makes progress towards the MCOM, and it's working out really well. They've not seen me on the minimap, and I'm able to just rake in the kills, head glitching on this little mound. Now, there's plenty of ways you can play the rush game, and some people seem to think that if you're not running straight towards that MCOM, then you're not helping your team out. It's not true. In fact, snipers can be very helpful in rush games, or any player that set themselves up in a good position to hold off reinforcements and really distract the enemy team. Right now, I am really demoralizing the defensive team rather than trying to reinforce their MCOM. Now they've switched gears to try and clear off this top hill here, and I'm also providing a stable spawn location for my entire squad to basically attack the MCOM or even reinforce my position. Part of the reason why it's taking the enemy team so long to clear me out is because I have a suppressor on here. They're not seeing me directly on the minimap. Also, the minimap is quite cluttered, and they're not hearing the sound of my gun from that far away, so it's very hard to locate me. Once I get spotted, of course, that's an entirely different situation, but having 100 rounds means I can definitely get a lot of follow-up targets rather than having to go hide for cover, hit that reload button, and letting the enemy team sort of fortify and figure out how they want to attack my position. You don't really give them the chance because they're always shooting back at them and being very aggressive by just never laying off the trigger. You'll see a lot of players caught off guard with this weapon. They'll come running around a corner expecting to shoot somebody who's spotted well behind you and not expecting to see somebody right in their face. And if you're ready for it, you've got a good lead on them. Chances are they won't even get one shot into you. It's really fun having duels in close quarters where you still have 100% health left over afterwards. And the 240 Bravo can certainly handle itself in close quarters, and you might forget that because it's got a 650 round per minute rate of fire, which seems very slow in comparison to other weapons in the game, but it's got that massive 34 damage maximum, which means you're going to be dropping a lot of people in close quarters in only 3 shots. If you get them in the head once, then you can change that to a 2-shot kill. If they have the defensive perk, then yeah, it's going to take you 4 shots, but if you had an assault rifle, it's going to take you 5 or even 6 shots depending on where you hit them. So what I'm trying to say is the DPS for the 240 Bravo still remains incredibly high, even though it's got a slower rate of fire. Now, as far as putting the angled foregrip on here in addition to the suppressor, I'm kind of on the fence with that decision, because angled foregrip does allow you to tap fire very accurately, especially with some of these heavy LMGs, but when you get the suppressor on there, it's going to really reduce your effectiveness at range. So those two attachments are kind of fighting each other, and I have to say I would probably just put a stubby grip on here instead of the angled foregrip to try and reduce some of that spread, and it would probably help out your accuracy a little bit more, because the tap firing just isn't going to come into play as much with this weapon, and you'll see that from my gameplay gameplay here, a lot of it is short bursts, not really tapping at all. Now for maximum effective ranges with this weapon, I'm going to recommend medium to close range. Close quarters, this thing is an absolute beast. The suppressor, the massive box magazine, is just going to be great for tearing through multiple enemies and not having them have any idea where you're actually shooting them from. So it's just going to prolong your lifespan really well in close quarters. Medium range is still going to be very good. You can maintain your accuracy. The further ranges though, you're going to start to get outgunned by a lot of weapons out there. Your bullet velocity is going to go down due to the suppressor, and it's just going to get a bit trickier overall. It's not to say you can't take down targets further away. You can, you're just going to be wasting a lot of ammo and frankly a lot of time. So make sure you get yourself on a map in a situation that's really well suited for this. Rush game modes for the support class work out really well because they're going to definitely facilitate a lot of close and medium range combat. People have got to get in there on the MCOMs, arm them. If you set yourself up in a defensive spot, or if you get yourself in a good spot to overlook the MCOM, if you're attacking, then you're guaranteed going to get a lot of kills. Now in this clip here, you're going to see me work my way from long range to medium range to very close quarters, taking advantage of the fact that I've got a suppressor and it's hard for my enemies to figure out where I am. Also taking advantage of the fact that there's tons of friendlies around me, so when pinpointing any targets, you're probably going to be looking for the guys using unsuppressed weapons first. It's a huge benefit. Make sure to take advantage of the fact that you got teammates, not just because they can give you ammo and health and back you up in certain situations, but frankly because they're going to basically muddy that radar for the enemies and you can kind of sneak in through there. Now you'll see I'm in close quarters here, right up against the MCOMs. They can't really figure out where I am, and that allows me to get right in there and actually get my arm off. Switching between the support role and basically being the front guy in the lines is something that you got to take advantage of and just kind of feel what is the right situation for you. Here I know I'm not spotted. I jump down on the MCOM, find that one guy behind the stairs, take out his spawn beacon, and arm the MCOM again. Again, I'm in the very front lines here, really taking the fight to the enemy players. Set myself up for a good defensive camping spot to guard the MCOM before it blows up. And then I'm going to set myself up in a good defensive spot rather than just immediately switch over to the other MCOM. I know the enemy team is going to be pushing this location hard, trying to get their territory back and get a good flank on. Rather than moving over to the other side of the map, I'm going to set myself up defensively and really prevent the enemy team's offense here and just kind of hold them at this extremely good defensive point. In the end, the tactics paid off. We won the round. My machine gun was just absolutely tearing it up that game, and I gotta say this loadout worked out really well. All I would change is put a stubby grip on there instead of the angled foregrip. Don't forget to leave your comments for next week's episode of Loadout. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.